This is a case about lots of secrets, double lives on many people's parts. It's one of those cases, I think I've seen it all. I've never seen anything like this before.
Crystal always had a great spirit about her. She knew what she wanted, she went for it.
To jump out of a perfectly good airplane.
Out of a plane.
I didn't punk out like a sissy girl.
She was obviously very beautiful, very attractive, but there was something about her. She radiated light. I worked with Crystal as a flight attendant. She was definitely a goofball, and she would even describe herself as a dork.
She survived a childhood kidnapping. She survived losing both parents by age 11. She survived years of instability, trauma, and fear. But she didn't survive the man she trusted with her life. On the morning Hurricane Harvey was about to tear Texas apart, Crystal McDowell walked out of her boyfriend's apartment alive and was never seen again. What investigators would later uncover wasn't just a murder. It was obsession, control, and a calculated crime hidden behind the chaos of one of the deadliest storms in American history. This is one of the most disturbing true crime cases ever documented. In her mid-20s, Crystal met Stephen McDowell. He seemed strong, confident, protective, everything she believed she needed. They married in 2007 and had 2 children. From the outside, they looked stable, but inside the marriage, something darker was forming. Crystal worked non-stop, first as a flight attendant, later as a flight instructor, then as a highly successful real estate agent. Stephen quit his job and stayed home. What sounded noble to outsiders felt suffocating to Crystal. She became the sole provider. Stephen became financially dependent, and control replaced partnership. By the time Crystal asked for a divorce, she already knew this marriage was over, but Stephen wasn't willing to let go.
Hey, Crystal, how you doing?
Great, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. What are you doing today?
About to jump out of a perfectly
Jumping
good airplane.
out of a plane, making your first skydive. Whose idea was this?
Steve.
Steve, your idea? So if she gets hurt, I'm blaming you, all right, buddy?
He said he has a really good life insurance policy.
Oh, cool, perfect. Are you covered in that policy?
Yeah.
Sweet. You're looking a little shaky there. Are you feeling okay?
Think so.
Think so? Uh-oh. I think Matthew broke your harness. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
So, it was so fun.
What was the best part?
The whole thing was the
whole
best
thing?
part. Yeah.
After separating, Crystal met Paul Hargrave, a jeweler. Paul was calm, grounded, everything Stephen wasn't. For the first time in years, Crystal felt safe again. She finalized the divorce, she went public with the relationship, and she started planning a future that no longer included her ex-husband. But Stephen still lived in the family home. And Stephen was watching everything.
Hi, I'm Paul from Robson's Jewelers. Come in now to have us handpick your special diamond on our upcoming Antwerp trip.
On August 25, 2017, Crystal spent the night at Paul's apartment. At 7:10 a.m., surveillance cameras captured her walking out alone, calm and unharmed, getting into her black Mercedes. Those are the last confirmed images of Crystal McDowell alive. Later that day, she was supposed to pick up her children. She never showed.
Overwhelmed emergency responders were forced to triage tens of thousands of calls, taking care of only those who needed help urgently.
I know people are trying to reach 911, may not be getting a response. I understand that. The system, there are a lot of people who are calling, but let me ask, let's give preference to the life-threatening call.
What happens when the worst natural disaster in a generation arrives at the exact moment a crime is committed by someone who knows how to hide behind chaos? By the time Crystal McDowell was reported missing, Hurricane Harvey was no longer a forecast, it was already here. Roads vanished under rising water, emergency lines were overwhelmed, first responders were forced to choose between rescues they could reach and ones they couldn't. In that environment, a missing person didn't just slip through the cracks, it was swallowed whole. For investigators, the timing was devastating. On August 25, 2017, Harvey made landfall as a Category 4 hurricane. Entire neighborhoods flooded within hours. Vehicles were abandoned mid-street. Surveillance systems failed. Evidence was washed away before anyone even knew it existed. And somewhere inside that chaos, Crystal disappeared. Her family knew something was wrong almost immediately. Crystal was meticulous about communication. After surviving childhood trauma, she never allowed herself to fully disappear from the people she trusted. Someone always knew where she was. So when calls went unanswered, when texts stopped, panic set in fast. But panic doesn't move police cars through floodwater. As authorities struggled to respond to life-threatening emergencies across Texas, Crystal's disappearance couldn't be prioritized the way it normally would have been. And that delay mattered, because time doesn't just erase evidence, it gives lies room to grow. Then came the first unsettling discovery. Crystal's black Mercedes was found abandoned at a Motel 6. The doors were open, the keys were inside. It looked staged, almost as if someone wanted the car stolen, wanted it written off as hurricane chaos. But the floodwater had already done its damage. Any fingerprints, any trace evidence, gone. Here's the contradiction that investigators couldn't ignore. Hurricanes create randomness, but this scene felt deliberate. Midway through the case, another question surfaced, one that changed everything. If Crystal was a victim of the storm, why didn't her disappearance match any storm-related patterns? No flooding at her last known location, no signs she was stranded, no debris trail, just silence. And silence can be manufactured. As waters slowly receded, detectives realized something deeply unsettling. Harvey didn't cause the disappearance, it concealed it. It delayed searches, it destroyed forensic starting points, it allowed critical hours and days to pass unchecked. Someone hadn't just taken advantage of the storm, they had counted on it. And as investigators finally began pulling the case out from under the floodwaters, they weren't asking where Crystal went anymore. They were asking who had the foresight to know that during a disaster of this scale, murder could hide in plain sight. Because the storm was fading, and whatever had really happened to Crystal was about to come into focus.
See this black car right here? This Mercedes? 2 people got out of it, and it doesn't belong to them.
This morning, police are searching for a Texas mother who mysteriously disappeared before Harvey hit. Crystal McDowell's last Facebook post was, "Stay safe out there." She wrote it the day before Harvey made landfall.
Crystal McDowell's family says she was scheduled to pick up her 2 children from her ex-husband's home, but never showed. That was the day before Hurricane Harvey flooded streets in her neighborhood. And with law enforcement trying desperately to keep people out of harm's way, this storm may have provided the ideal climate to cover a crime. How confident are you that she was not a victim of this storm?
I'm very confident. She is not a victim of this storm. We feel very, very confident that she's not a victim of this storm.
Investigators looked at everyone. Paul, until surveillance footage proved Crystal left his place alive. Friends, until nothing connected. And finally, Stephen. Security cameras showed him near the motel 6 hours after the car was abandoned. Walmart receipts showed he bought a bicycle, not supplies, then rode it home through floodwaters. When confronted, Stephen denied everything, until police removed his children from his custody. That's when he broke.
Freaks me out, personally. I told her myself, he reminds me of Hannibal Lecter, and he creeps me out really bad.
What about him creeping?
I don't know.
I mean, she liked him.
She loved him, but she liked weird guys. I don't trust him. You know.
What does Paul have to gain by hurting her?
I don't know, unless he gets my vote.
What does Steve have to gain by
I honestly believe Steve loved her to the point of no return. You know, I mean, he said he didn't do this.
And I'm gonna tell you, I'll be up real truthfully. I believe someone killed her.
Yeah.
I believe I'm working a murder right now.
Yes.
But I just got to figure out who did it and where she's at.
What do you do when the truth finally comes out? Not because someone feels guilt, but because they've run out of places to hide. Stephen McDowell's confession did not arrive with relief or remorse. It came slowly, strategically, after days of pressure, and after investigators made it clear that the safety of the children was now their highest concern. By then, every version of his story had begun to contradict itself. His calm explanations no longer matched the evidence quietly stacking up around him. According to Stephen, Crystal came home that morning believing she was walking into another routine conversation. Instead, he tried, one last time, to pull her back into a life she had already left behind. He spoke about reconciliation, about second chances, about a future that only existed in his mind. Crystal refused. She told him she was moving forward. She told him Paul was taking his place on the cruise. And in that moment, the illusion of control shattered. What happened next wasn't sudden confusion, it was escalation. Stephen later claimed he snapped, but his actions told a different story. He didn't call for help. He didn't stop. He applied force until Crystal could no longer resist. The woman who had survived a traumatic childhood, built a career, and fought for independence, lost her life in the one place that should have been safe. Afterward, Stephen didn't flee in panic. He moved with calculation. He wrapped her body in bags. He placed her into the trunk of her own car, turning something familiar into part of the crime. Then he drove through flooded streets and chaos, using Hurricane Harvey as cover. The storm that paralyzed the city became his shield. Roads were impassable. Cameras were obscured. Attention was elsewhere. He abandoned the car near the motel, leaving the doors open and the keys inside, hoping someone would steal it, hoping the storm would erase what he had done. Then he discarded Crystal's body in a wooded area nearby, out of sight, out of mind, as if distance could dissolve responsibility. For more than a week, the world searched for a missing woman, while the truth sat hidden in plain silence. When her body was finally found, it confirmed what investigators already feared. The hurricane hadn't taken Crystal's life. It had only delayed the moment the truth surfaced. In the end, Stephen didn't confess because he wanted to. He confessed because the storm passed. And with it, every excuse he thought would protect him disappeared.
These are the last known images of Crystal, taken from security cameras in her boyfriend's home and a day before the hurricane. She was leaving for 2 appointments as a real estate agent. Crystal's uncle, Jeff Walters, works in the same real estate office.
What do you think happened to her?
I don't know, but I know that she's not one to leave, and she would always be in contact with us and her children.
There's no doubt in my mind that that's you. I want to show you that. I'm guessing you'd like to see that.
It doesn't really prove anything to me because I know it was...
You've confronted her at different times about those affairs.
Confronted her?
and she told me to stay handling business. And she says that I'm not dominant enough in the bedroom. That's what she says.
Were you fighting when that happened?
Yeah.
Is that when she told you that she didn't love you anymore?
Yeah.
And did you snap? Did you mean to suffocate her?
No.
It just happened.
I did not. Either. I love her.
And how did you suffocate?
Squeezed her. Put my arm around her like this.
Okay, like a chokehold or something? Did she say anything when that was going on, or did you fight, or what happened?
She said I was scaring her.
How did you eventually know that she was no longer alive?
Stop moving.
New twist in that murder case in Houston. A mother of two vanishing just hours before Hurricane Harvey hit. Now, her ex-husband is under arrest. ABC's Diane Macedo is here with the new developments. Good morning, Diane.
Robin, good morning. Steve McDowell heads to court today charged with first-degree murder. Not only do police say they found Crystal McDowell's body, but in a surprising turn, they say her ex-husband confessed.
This morning, a startling confession which could solve the mystery of who killed Texas realtor Crystal McDowell. She was last seen in this security video leaving her boyfriend's house just hours before Hurricane Harvey hit. But despite the deadly storm, authorities suspected foul play.
Once we started the investigation, there were a number of family and friends that had expressed concerns about the ex-husband.
Now police say after questioning her ex-husband for days, Steve McDowell tearfully admitted to murdering the mother of his two children.
Once I got that call, I was in a state of shock and denial. So just trying to deal with it the best way I can.
Crystal started dating Paul Hargrave just 3 weeks before her death. When she left his house the day she went missing, she was heading to pick up her children at her ex-husband's home.
She did make it to and see her kids that particular day.
3 days later, the 37-year-old's black Mercedes was found at this flooded Motel 6 parking lot. And over a week later, her body was found in a wooded area nearby. Stephen McDowell is now charged with first-degree murder, but police haven't yet revealed a possible motive.
There had been some tension and stress, and there had been some potential disagreements.
I had my suspicions from day one. I can't say that I was honestly that surprised, given the arguments they had the week prior of her missing.
The McDowells shared custody of their children after finalizing their divorce in June, but McDowell was still living with her ex-husband while her home was being remodeled.
A lot of that was so she had access to the children. The children were primarily staying with Steve.
And this isn't the couple's first encounter with the cops. Police say Crystal called them in March, saying Steve had threatened to hurt himself and their children, but he returned the kids safely the next day, so no charges were filed. George, of course, he won't face a charge in this case. First-degree murder. It's not clear yet how he'll plead today.
When someone claims they lost control in a moment of passion, how do you separate a lie of convenience from the truth written in their actions? In the courtroom, Stephen McDowell tried to reframe the narrative one final time. He told jurors the killing was not planned, that it was an emotional explosion, a moment fueled by heartbreak, jealousy, and rejection. Under Texas law, he hoped the phrase "sudden passion" would soften the consequences, transforming a calculated killing into a tragic mistake. But the jury wasn't listening to his words. They were watching the timeline. They saw what happened after Crystal died. The bags, the trunk, the drive, the decision to use a hurricane as camouflage, the deliberate attempt to erase her presence while presenting himself as a worried father and partner. Passion doesn't clean up. Panic doesn't strategize, and love does not discard a body and wait for a storm to take the blame. Midway through the trial, the story Stephen wanted to tell collapsed under its own weight. Prosecutors didn't need theatrics. They let the evidence speak. Every choice he made after the killing revealed intent, not confusion, control, not chaos, obsession, not loss. The jury deliberated, and when they returned, the verdict was clear: guilty. Stephen McDowell was sentenced to 50 years in prison, not for a momentary lapse, but for a pattern of dominance, manipulation, and entitlement that ended in murder. The court rejected the idea that Crystal's independence provoked her death. Instead, it recognized the truth. She was killed because she refused to be owned. In the aftermath, Crystal McDowell was finally spoken about not as a victim of circumstance, but as a survivor who fought her way out of abuse, reclaimed her life, and paid the ultimate price for choosing freedom. Her children were left without their mother, but not without the truth. Justice, in this case, did not bring her back, but it did something else. It exposed how danger often hides behind familiarity, how control disguises itself as care, and how the most violent endings are sometimes preceded by the quietest warnings. And the question that lingers isn't just what happened to Crystal, it's how many others are still living inside stories that haven't reached a courtroom yet. Crystal survived everything life threw at her. She survived control. She survived fear disguised as love. She survived the quiet moments where leaving felt more dangerous than staying, except the one person who refused to let her go. Her story is not just about one crime. It's a warning written in hindsight, a reminder that the most dangerous threats don't always announce themselves. They don't always break down doors or arrive with sirens. Sometimes they wait, they watch, they smile. The most dangerous storms don't always come from the sky. Sometimes they're already inside the house. And if stories like Crystal's matter to you, stories that expose the darkness hiding in plain sight, subscribe to the Dark Vault Cases, because understanding these stories isn't about fear, it's about awareness.